I grew up in a place where the woods started just past your backyard. Real woods, too. Not just a patch of trees, but miles and miles of thick forest where phone service vanished and the trails weren't marked. My parents never worried about me wandering back there. I was a quiet kid, more interested in sketching birds than causing trouble, and I knew those woods like the back of my hand. Or at least, I thought I did. One fall weekend when I was 17, my cousin Jenna came to stay with us. She was a couple years older, more adventurous, and she hated the city where she lived. The first night she was over, we sat outside on the back porch wrapped in blankets, watching the tree line turn black as the sun disappeared. At some point, she looked over at me and said, "Let's go into the woods." It was impulsive, but not unusual. We'd done it before, just not this late. There was a certain thrill about the forest at night, like stepping into some forgotten world. We each grabbed a flashlight and snuck out around 9 p.m., sticking to the narrower trail that twisted deeper into the trees than most people like to go. Our only goal was to find this old hunter's blind I had stumbled across the year before, half collapsed and covered in vines. The deeper we went, the quieter it got. At first, we were joking and laughing, Jenna asking if there were bears or ghosts out here. But by the time we got close to where I remembered the blind being, we had fallen mostly silent. It was that kind of quiet where the only sound is your own breath. The air smelled like damp moss and something faintly sweet that I couldn't place. Eventually we found it, or what we thought was it, but it didn't look the same. The frame was taller than I remembered and more intact. The vines were there, but they seemed deliberately woven into the wood, almost decorative. Jenna climbed halfway up the little ladder nailed to the tree, then paused. "There's something in here," she said. Her voice was calm but flat, like she was trying not to react. I stepped closer, shining my light into the blind, and I could see she was right. There was something inside, a bundle of what looked like fabric at first, but then I saw the shape of a face. Porcelain, a dollar, a big one, maybe the size of a toddler, propped up against the back wall of the blind. Its eyes were closed. "I think someone's living out here," I whispered. Jenna came down quickly. "We should go." We turned back, but after only a few minutes of walking, I realized we weren't on the trail anymore. We should have hit a familiar tree bend, a split in the path, anything. But the ground looked different. The trees were spaced too close together. Everything was wrong. Jenna insisted we were going the right way. I wanted to argue, but something about the atmosphere made my chest tighten. It felt like the woods were holding their breath. I know how that sounds, but I don't know how else to explain it. Even the insects had gone silent. Then, ahead of us, we saw a light. At first, I thought it might be the edge of my backyard. Relief flooded through me, but as we got closer, we realized it wasn't a house, or a flashlight, or even a campfire. It was a lantern, an old metal lantern hanging from a low tree branch, the kind you'd see in a black and white movie. It gave off this faint greenish glow that didn't light up the area around it, just the lantern itself. Jenna reached out to touch it. "Don't," I said, without knowing why. She froze. Behind us, a stick cracked. I turned and saw nothing. Jenna was already backing away from the lantern, her face pale. "Someone's watching us," she whispered. I didn't ask how she knew. I felt it too, like a pressure on the back of my skull. We ran. I don't remember how far, just that the woods didn't seem to end. I don't even remember dropping my flashlight. All I remember is running blindly, heart slamming, convinced that something was just a few steps behind us, but never daring to look back. When we finally burst out of the woods, we were standing in my neighbor's field, almost a full mile from where we entered. My hands were scratched, my legs shaking. Jenna was bleeding from the knee and didn't even notice. We didn't speak. We just walked in silence, back to the house, through the back door, and locked it behind us. The next day, we returned to the trail entrance in the daylight. We followed it exactly the way we had the night before. There was no blind, no lantern, no signs anyone had ever been there. And the part that still keeps me up? My flashlight was lying by the back porch. I had it with me when we ran. I know I did. Jenna and I never talked about it again after that day. She stopped coming to visit. We drifted apart. But I still walk by those woods sometimes, and I swear, every now and then, I see a faint green light between the trees, flickering, waiting. My name's Eric. I'm 35, work in IT, and live in North Carolina with my wife and our baby girl, Ava, who just turned 1. We bought our house about 2 years ago, a modest fixer-upper in a quiet neighborhood surrounded by woods. It's not perfect, but we loved it right away. Big yard, decent privacy, and close enough to town. This happened last fall. My wife had taken Ava to visit her parents for a few days, giving me time to catch up on work and get ahead on a few home projects. One of those was clearing out the attic. We'd mostly used it for storage, but it was time to get it better organized. I went up on a Thursday afternoon with a headlamp, gloves, and a few boxes. The attic was just dusty insulation, wood beams, and a few old crates left by the previous owners. It felt a little cramped, but nothing out of the ordinary, until I noticed a section of the back wall that didn't match the rest. It was a thin plywood panel wedged between two beams, slightly bowed out like something had pushed against it from the other side. I figured maybe there was an old crawlspace behind it. Curiosity got the better of me, so I pried the panel loose. Behind it was a narrow pitch-black void, a space maybe 4 feet wide and 10 feet deep. It smelled awful. Mildew, rotting wood, something else I couldn't place. I shined my headlamp inside and froze. There was a blanket on the floor, a bucket, empty food containers, and what looked like a small stack of notebooks tied together with twine. Someone had been living up there. I backed out slowly, heart racing. I closed the panel and called the police. When they arrived, they brought a K-9 unit to sweep the attic and surrounding area. Nobody was there. The space was empty by then. But the notebooks were real, and the officers bagged them as evidence. After questioning me for a while, they promised to look into it and left me with one piece of advice. Don't stay here alone tonight. I didn't listen. I convinced myself whoever it was had already left, scared off by my discovery. I even laughed about it later that night while brushing my teeth, until I heard footsteps upstairs, heavy, deliberate steps crossing the attic floor. I stood frozen in the hallway for a second, toothbrush still in my mouth. Then slowly, I looked up. The attic door in the ceiling was wide open. I backed into the kitchen and grabbed the biggest knife we had. I called 911. This time, I wasn't waiting. The police got there within 10 minutes. They cleared the attic and the rest of the house. Again, nothing, no one. But this time, something was different. They found a message written in black marker on the attic wall behind the panel. I was here first. They think whoever had been living up there had access through a vent in the roof, one of the older ones with a rusted grate. The crawl space wasn't visible from outside the house, and unless you were really looking for it, you'd never notice it. Needless to say, we didn't sleep there again until we replaced the entire attic entrance and had security cameras installed. I still check the attic every couple weeks just to be sure. So far, it's been quiet, but I never figured out how long they were up there, or how many nights we went to bed with someone sleeping just a few feet above us.